Okay, well, that was a good episode, I think. What did
Yeah.
you think?
I thought that was a good episode. I was in it.
Yeah.
I think we hit the highs and lows of the podcast, and I definitely enjoyed recording this one. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I mean, it was a different episode.
It
It's
was.
our holiday bonus. So, what is a holiday bonus? We cover all of that. I mean, it's basically a bonus episode during the holiday season, right? And, we're still experimenting what 2096 is all about. So, you know, it's just a different kind of episode where we are going over looking back, looking forward of 2024, and also the podcast itself. I know we're new and infant in our, in the podcast, but it's an opportunity to still look back on what we've done so far and then look forward at what we want to continue to do in 2025. As a podcast, as a company, the 2096 company that basically is the sponsor of the EHANCE podcast, and also a little bit about me and a little bit about the AEC industry at large. So, was there anything that you found funny or interesting or particularly notable?
Particularly notable. I guess we went over AI and, common trends in 2024, and I thought that was interesting because I had to read off the monitor thing, and I thought that was going to be scary. So I liked talking about that, and I thought that subject was interesting.
Yeah, so the AI concept and topic, yeah, we definitely talked about that, and I think it's fun to talk about things live because you don't know exactly what's going to be drawn out. But I enjoy talking about where 2096 has come from and how that's impacted my personal life.
Right.
Right. I mean, as far as the project executive, the project managers, it's a big deal for the company of 2096, and it's also been a big impact on me in 2024 because 2020. 2 or 3 years ago was a tough time because we had some attrition, and now we brought some people back, and we've grown back again. And so it was fun to talk about that and how that impacted everything.
So y'all enjoy this episode.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey everybody, my name is Andy Richardson, and I'm a structural engineer. I've been doing this 26 years, and I'm still on a journey to learn more about the AEC industry and what drives people in the AEC industry. Let's go ahead and jump to the intro.
Welcome to EHANCE, an AEC podcast, where we learn the why behind AEC professionals so that you can learn your why.
Hey, welcome to our first official holiday episode for EHANCE. So it's been a busy year. We started out our podcast, and I think that today we're just going to go over, 2024 in review and what we're looking forward to in the future. So what did you want to start with?
Yeah, so what I want to start with, thanks everybody for jumping on the show again. If you got here today, it's recording pre-Christmas, but for you, this might be Christmas Day. So it's like opening up a great gift of a podcast. But more than likely, you might be listening to it a few days after Christmas or New Year's 2025, right? And so what we wanted to do is, we haven't been very long into this, right? Only done 6 episodes until now, but we wanted to go ahead and look back, look forward. The new year is always a good time to do that. And looking back, looking forward is a lean concept, an agile concept. And we'd like to run agile at our office at 2096. And
yes.
So agile is, a project management system, but looking back, looking forward goes into that, right? You look back, you look forward, and from looking back, you learn about what you can improve. And so I thought it would be fun and cool to have a holiday bonus, but also look back, look forward on the 4 aspects of my life that are important, which is me. And also, that's important, of course, right?
And then, my life is me.
So that's part of it. And then also talking about the podcast itself, looking back, like who have we had? Let's look at some high points, some low points. And then, what are we looking forward to on the podcast? As far as the company, 2096, and our business, insights into engineering, what are some things that have changed. So kind of an announcement, I guess, of some things, and then also looking forward to things that are coming in 2025. And then the AEC industry, some things that we've seen in 2024, things that I've seen in 2024 as trends or things that have happened, and then also what we see for 2025. So
Right.
that's a bit of a tone of the episode.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So I guess we're just gonna dive right in and talk about you. How do you think that you've grown this year? I mean, just speaking for the podcast.
So for the podcast, yeah, I mean, individually, I've seen a lot of good things, a lot of challenges with, running a company. All these things go hand in hand for me because I'm in the AEC industry. I'm in the 2096 business, the engineering business,
Right.
and that's my livelihood, right? Is running a company, and so I've really taken to LinkedIn this year, and social media. It's something that I just started doing. I do it like twice a week, and so the reason I'm bringing all that up is trying to market the company has been a big factor. I'm trying to think my point of some of this. I kind of went down a weird road with some of that because I guess you were asking me about individually.
Yes. How do
right?
you think you've grown individually?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my point of all of that was I've really made some changes with the company, right? That I think have helped a lot. So I'm jumping ahead to 2096, but my point is that there's a lot of it's all interrelated, like the company and my personal life. And then I kind of got sidetracked a little bit onto LinkedIn because talking about social media, and I was thinking about a few posts that I had written. That was my point of that. And I've written recently on LinkedIn about, so kind of looking back, reading recently about like, I wrote one that got a lot of impressions on, it was, it took me 7 years to take 2 days off was the name of the headline or whatever. And it was a funny headline, I think, but the point of it is, I was talking to somebody at Charlie's wedding, and he said, I've worked my whole career to get to this point of being able to take the month of December off. And I told him, well, it took me 7 years to take these 2 days off. And so I was like, oh, there's a LinkedIn post right there. And so that's what I did. I wrote a LinkedIn post. So that's why I mentioned LinkedIn and how that tied in. But it's a big part of how I've grown because the company and some of the improvements we've made at the company have allowed me to also grow, right? And so bringing in, we brought in a project executive this year. His name is Paul, and we elevated several of the project engineers to project managers. And so now Paul is overseeing those project managers. And so that's the first time since 2022 that we've done that. So that's a lot about 2096, but it's had an impact on me personally because it's allowed me to take the time off for Charlie's wedding. And Charlie was a guest on the podcast.
He was.
So
go further into guests too.
So there's a hat tip to that episode. And then also, so yeah, that was a big part of, and also we're going to take off next week. I'm going to Banff. So in Canada with my wife, with Esther, and Esther, your mom. So
really?
Yeah. And so that's a big part of it too. Spending time with her, that's the personal side of it. You make improvements to the business, and now you're able to, we hear so much, I guess that's a trend in 2024. We hear so much about quote unquote work-life balance, right? And it's almost humorous because we hear so much about it. I mean, I didn't hear that when I was starting out. Like that was never talked about. It was get the job done and work your tail off was the mentality. So now we hear a mentality of work-life balance. And I like that mentality. I think we should have that. Of course, there's an entire debate and discussion just about that topic.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That we could have. So I would say I've achieved some of that. I've achieved more personal life and making that a priority, with my wife, with my family, with my kids. But there's some challenges with that because I'm a man who I do like to work, and I struggle with that sometimes, like working too much sometimes, and being basically a workaholic. So it's a battle. So that's a little bit about me personally and a little bit about the company. Looking back, not everything, but those are some big points. The project managers, project executives were a big part of the company that I wanted to talk about. And I do think that helps us, kind of spotlighting the company 2096 for a minute, that helps us better serve our clients. Because if you have a hub and spoke model, which is what 2096 was, a hub and spoke model basically means that one person, one guy, is at the middle of that wheel.
Oh yeah, I remember when you couldn't go 24 hours without a whole bunch of issues happening.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, have you seen any big impact? I mean, looking at me objectively, have you seen anything with me or with 2096 over the past year?
With 2096, I think that the company has grown significantly. I'm not in it too much because I'm not an engineer or anything like that, but I've seen like you've hired a couple new people, a couple people have left. It's just, it's flowing like a business, but I think I've seen a difference in that you don't seem as stressed as you used to be. Like even this time last year, it just feels like you always have this level of tension on you. I feel like I haven't seen that as much on you now that you've hired some people, but it always fluctuates. But
yeah,
that's about to the extent I've seen it with the company.
Yeah. Well, thanks for noticing that. I mean, and it's not easy. I mean, because hiring people is challenging. I mean, you have to make payroll and you have to, hire people.
You have to talk to people.
Yeah. So yeah, those are all things to do. I mean, this is our tiny little office here, our studio. We've constructed the studio. And one thing that's cool is the studio, you can see it evolving, right? Like the podcast studio from episode 1 to episode 6. And now I guess whatever episode this is going to number out at. But the point of that is this is our office. Now we have a seat over here for Harold comes in or Paul comes in, and then my seat is over here. But we're in the studio is in the office, and we condensed down to one room. We have a lounge over here too. But the point is,
he used to just work in a little hole in the wall just on the hallway. It has one fluorescent light in it.
Yeah, it didn't even have a window. Now I have a window, so yeah. We're upgrading in the
I don't know why you chose to work in that little hole in the wall.
Yeah, I guess I actually like dark, and I liked it. I don't know. I'm kind of weird. Like I guess I'm an engineer. There was a joke I saw once about, I think it might have been a Dilbert, and he's like, "Okay, I'm going back to my sensory deprivation chamber," talking about his cubicle. So yeah, I guess I got used to working in a cubicle, and one of my first jobs, I literally worked in a cubicle for a while, so I did experience that. But yeah, we're a post-COVID remote company. Was the point of all that? Like,
right.
This is our office, but we have people that are, we've made hires in the past year that, we have now an engineer in Savannah, Georgia, so we have a Savannah studio, and we have an engineer in Columbia, South Carolina, so we have a
Columbia, South Carolina studio.
Columbia studio, and we're in Beaufort, South Carolina, so we have a Beaufort studio, main office, and we're able to service much of South Carolina, but we also have Kansas City, Missouri, and we also have Logan, Utah, and we have people overseas. Harshal is one of our project managers, and he's in India, and he's done a great job. And Daniela is in Romania. We have a few others that we work with that are also in India, and then my assistant, Irene, who is in Mexico actually. And then we brought in some other people as well. Jessica has come in recently, and Ishani has come in. So those are some of the upgrades we've made to the company to help us with engineering, with drafting, with also some of the administrative side of things. Yeah, so those are some company updates, a little bit about me personally in terms of the balance, work-life balance. Yeah, what do you want to talk about next?
I guess next is the AEC in general over the year of 2024. So did you want me to read off of here or ask you questions?
Yeah, I mean, what were some of the hot... We're using AI, which is one of the trends of 2024, right?
It is.
So,
I started using it a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So we used ChatGPT to come up with some trends of 2024. So what are some of those trends that we saw in 2024, maybe that to hit on a little bit?
Just read off of it.
Yeah, just hit the first. What's the first one there?
I guess that would be. Oh, it's set in like if you wanted to talk about it in podcast format. The growing role of BIM 360 and digital twins in project design and execution.
Okay, yeah. So what is a digital twin? BIM 360, BIM 360. So BIM 360 is a Autodesk product. BIM is building information modeling, and the idea is that your so you could say, well, it's 3D, but it's more than just 3D modeling, right? So BIM is building information modeling. So a beam knows it's a beam, and a wall knows it's a wall, and so it's parametric, if that makes sense. So these are kind of high-level concepts, but it's definitely a trend in 2024, and before that. I mean, BIM is not new in 2024. I think this cloud aspect is newer, right? We're seeing more of this cloud aspect where BIM 360 is using the cloud model and more using collaboration online. So the structural consultants, the architectural consultants are working in a collaborative way in a digital corridor, right? Which is what we're doing at Twin 96 with what I call a post-COVID remote company. But you know, when you have consultants working for you, or even employees that are working with you that are remote, right? And so now we can work through this cloud. So that's a big part of it. And then this idea of a digital twin is an interesting concept, right? So what it's talking about is how we can build this model that is basically the building. It's very close to what I mean, this is my way of saying it. I'm a structural engineer. I'm not a like Revit guru or anything.
Right.
But the idea is that this model is a twin of the actual constructed building.
That sounds really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
So
So it's identical. So like and then it ties into the concept of AR, which is not Andy Richardson. It's augmented reality.
Okay.
So like one application of the digital twin, not the only thing about a digital twin, but one application of the digital twin is you can use like AR glasses, right? And you can go out to the field and see the beams.
That sounds really interesting.
That you design. And like, okay, let's say, for example, this room right here, there was a column sitting right here that was proposed. Well, you could put those glasses on and see, okay, there's the column right there.
So it's like an AI generated type thing where you can see.
Well, AI could play into that, but it's AR, it's a augmented reality. So I'm seeing this blue carpet, but I also see that new column there added in. So that's called augmented reality.
So digitally it adds it in. Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of these technologies are definitely coming along. Yeah, so that's a little bit about BIM 360. What are some of the other trends we're seeing?
We have how firms are using these tools well, I guess we just talked about that. How we're using these different tools, BIM and digital twins.
Yeah, what's the bullet?
Project design.
Like the next bullet point.
Automation and AI in design and construction. So I guess we kind of hit on that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, AI in general. I mean, we joked about how we used AI. I mean, you're seeing AI so much, but I think specifically it was hitting on the point of AI in design. I mean, everybody's using AI now, whether it's ChatGPT, Perplexity. I just got a 16 iPhone, so it's got AI in the, like I can type out like a post on LinkedIn or something and start like a post and then hit rewrite and it'll rewrite it for me.
That is interesting.
Inside of the Notes app. So that's a big game changer, or maybe an email. But that's a game changer because it's in the Notes app, like it's in the app itself and in the iPhone. So I don't know how that's going to impact things, but that's separate from the whole AI discussion is separate from the idea of, or specific to design, right? Like using AI in design. So like, tell ChatGPT to design a beam for me, right? And I've seen it's not ready for that personally. Now, maybe it's my prompting, because part of AI is prompting, being a quote unquote prompt engineer. And did you prompt it correctly? Well, maybe I didn't, right? And so you do have to prompt it correctly. Or like if you're an architect or a contractor looking up the correct codes. I mean, I saw an application where I think I might have mentioned this on a previous episode, where I looked up the handrail heights on things, and ChatGPT or maybe Perplexity provided those handrail heights. So those are some AI things. Yeah. And but like, I know one thing that is interesting to me also is like ASCE, and I believe it was ASCE. It might have been the SEA, the Structural Engineers Association.
Okay.
They these are organizations.
Yeah, these all sound familiar because I've seen the logos around on your different books and things. Yeah.
What's interesting to me is these organizations have collaborated, and they are pushing forward on AI. I guess they're looking at how AI is going to impact things. They're actually creating like coalitions and initiatives to work through these things. So we'll see. I think it's going to continue on in 2025. Design with AI, it's going to be a big deal. I do think it's going to be an impact, and it's going to be a big deal. AI is not going away, in my opinion, and it's we just have to figure out how to use it.
You see it in all fields now. You see it in writing. You see it in art, which I think that automated art is the worst because it takes the personality and the life out of it. But you see it everywhere. You could even cheat on your homework with it, or don't do that, kids. But I mean, in design, I guess it's coming along too. So
yeah. Okay, awesome. What else do we have? Any other?
The next
maybe one
point, 3D printing and modular builds.
Okay, I mean, modular is not anything new. 3D printing, I think it could be interesting. I've seen, different things on like LinkedIn about 3D printing. I haven't really seen it come to fruition in any jobs I've done, but definitely modular isn't anything new. And I think it's a good concept, and it has some pros and cons. We're actually doing a modular build that we just got a contract for it now, where it's a pretty good sized modular project on Hilton Head Island with an architect, and Cord Atkins, and thanks, Cord Atkins. I think we have an episode with those guys coming up soon.
Oh, okay.
So there's a looking forward as far as
looking forward to 2025.
But we're doing a modular build, and it's an interesting project, I think. So I don't know if I've not done one like this before, where basically they're taking the steel frame, okay, and inside of the steel frame, we're putting these modular units, these almost shoeboxes of houses or apartments, if you will. And those are getting slid in and then kind of screwed or fastened somehow to the steel frame. So this is one of the most unique projects I've worked on in a long time. So that's an application of modular construction, not what you would normally see. And you know a little bit about modular construction.
I do.
Right? Yeah. Well, what kind of house do you live in?
I live in a modular house.
Yeah. So
because I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah, there you go. So we actually live in a modular home, and so we know a lot about modular construction.
Yeah.
So we know the pros, and we know a few cons.
Yes.
So, okay, so that's. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I guess the next step in the podcast would be looking forward. Do we have any high points we want to hit next year? Anything we want to improve on, guest-wise, topic-wise? Anything you...
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we want to keep this thing going. We've hit 6, so congratulations, high five, boom. And I know, like, some people, 29E6, and we hit our 6th episode, so this should be like a celebration moment, right? And which I think I was going to look up the percentage. I think there's like a low percentage that you even hit like 6 or 10. Really? So we want to definitely hit 10, but my goal is to hit 100. I mean, and then what happens when we hit 100? Well,
we hit 106.
Yeah, we'll keep going. But I want to do this. I mean, I think it's we're learning what it means, and we're learning how to do these episodes. And I mean, I'm not I'm not Joe Rogan, you know,
No, you're
obviously.
not.
I mean, still got a little bit of hair and not quite as big as him, but built as him. But I obviously like, you know, what he does and the energy he brings. It's a popular show, but I want to do what we said in the very first episode. I want to inspire people. I want to educate people, and I want to,
Enhance the world around you.
well, we want to enhance the world around you, but that's the inspiration. I want to inspire, educate,
Ah.
and entertain. We want to help people have fun, right? So, and we want to inspire through that enhance concept, right? Like what are we doing to making the world a little bit better? So I think we're doing that through this podcast in some ways, right? We're getting the word out about some things and sharing our lessons. Maybe through this very episode, somebody learned something about, you know, something we talked about.
I most definitely did.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, we're just having a little bit of fun too. So this is a holiday bonus, and we're doing the looking back, looking forward. So yeah, looking forward for the podcast itself, I would say we want to keep doing what we're doing in a lot of ways, but I want to kick it up a notch in some other ways too. I mean, let's get some, you know, I think we've got some great guests that we've talked to, but I want to find some more great guests and, you know, maybe some influencers that could, you know, get our word out there even more. And I do think that, you know, we've experimented with like the technical bonus that will be coming out.
Probably before this episode.
Oh, it comes out before this one? No, actually anyway, I don't know. It's coming out after or before this. So
It's coming out eventually.
we have a technical bonus that we've done, and so we're showing that we're willing to dig down into more of the technical stuff. Now, that I called it a technical bonus because I don't want people to think like this is what we're doing. And this is called a holiday bonus because I don't want people to think this is what we're doing either. I want people to realize like, hey, this is just an experimental episode, and we're just trying something out. So that's what we're willing to do, is try to do new things. But our standard format is going to continue to be have a guest on here, find out about what they do, and try to learn from them, try to get entertained from them a little bit, but really also find out what drives them, you know. And that's what we want to keep doing, right? And I've got some big goals for, you know, like growing the show and so forth. But I think in order to do that, we keep grinding it and keep publishing one every 2 weeks is our goal.
That is the goal. So I guess we hit all the major high points we were planning on. So
yeah, I mean, I guess for looking forward for the podcast itself, was there anything else that we want to hit on in terms of 2096 AEC or the podcast for looking forward?
not that I can think of.
Okay, sounds good. Well, yeah, I mean, and this wasn't meant to be a long episode necessarily, so I think, you know, we definitely hit some of those things. I definitely wanted to say, you know, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and thank you for listening to the episode and to EHANCE. And if you have ideas for us, let us know. If you want to be a guest, let us know.
Well, it's been a great episode, and I hope I guess not hope, but I'm looking forward to seeing y'all next time.
All right, take care, everybody. God bless.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening